The wreck in the sand wind was dry and hot. Sand blew across the rocky ground like a river of dust. The planet was silent. No birds, no animals, no life, only the sound of a man's footsteps crunching softly on the ground. His name was Rain, a scavenger, not a hero, not a soldier, just a man who searched dead places for anything useful. His suit was old and patched. His boots were cracked. A small scanner blinked in his hand, searching for metal under the sand. He had been walking for hours, maybe days. Food was low, water was lower. Still, he walked out suddenly. The scanner beeped. Rain stopped. He looked down. The scanner pointed to something buried not far ahead. He moved quickly, digging with his hands. Then a small tool. Soon, he saw a piece of dark metal sharp and scorched. A ship. He looked up and saw more. Half covered in sand was the broken body of a small spacecraft. It had crashed hard. Metal was twisted and black. Smoke stains ran across the hull, but it was not alien. It was human. He stepped closer and saw faded letters on the side of the ship. B.M.U. Black Mark U frowned. That was a mercenary group. Dangerous. Trained. Not easy to kill. What were they doing here? Rain climbed into the wreck. The metal creaked under his feet. Inside, the walls were burned. Wires hung from the ceiling like vines. Bullet holes marked. The doors. Blood. Dry and dark. Smeared along the wall. HANDPRINTS.RAY and moved carefully. He found a hallway. Then a small armory. Empty. Weapons gone. He entered the command room. Smashed screens. One chair still spinning slowly, as if touched by wind. But there was no wind inside. On the floor, he saw something. A helmet. Black, heavy, marked with a red line. It belonged to the mercenaries. He picked it up. Earth Division, serial code 9B72. He read softly. He held the helmet close. Then he heard it. A voice. Behind him. Cold, mechanical, quiet. Put that down. Rain froze. His heart jumped. He turned fast. Nothing. No one was there. The hallway behind him was empty. He held his breath and listened. Silence. He looked at the helmet in his hand. It felt heavier now. Then the voice came again, this time from the helmet itself. Put that down. It repeated. RAY and stepped back. What? The helmet lit up. A soft red glow blinked from the side. A speaker. It was a recording. He held it carefully and played the last log again. This is Captain Darren of the Black Mark unit. We were attacked. A known enemy. We couldn't see it. It moved through the walls, through our minds. We turned on each other. We weren't ourselves. If anyone finds this, don't stay here. Destroy the ship. Run. The message ended with static. RAY and stood in the wreckage, holding the helmet. The air felt colder now. His suit sensors beeped once. No radiation. Normal for a crash site. But still, something felt wrong. He looked around. He was alone. Or he thought he was. Then he heard another sound. Footsteps. Soft. Slow. Behind him. He turned fast. Light raised. The hallway was still empty. Hello. He called out. No answer. The lights above flickered. He stepped back toward the exit. But then the ship door slammed shut. Locked. Panic rose in his chest. He tapped his wrist. No signal. No open connection. He was trapped. His eyes scanned the shadows. Then the helmet in his hand spoke again. But this time, it wasn't a recording. You shouldn't have come here. Rain dropped it. The helmet hit the ground and rolled. He ran to the control panel and tried to force the door open. Error. Access denied. The ship came alive slowly. Screens turned on. Lights buzzed. A low hum began under the floor. RAY and looked around. Something had noticed him. Not a person. Not a machine. Something else. Asterisk. The last voice of lights flickered again. Rain stood frozen in the dark hallway of the wrecked ship. Behind him, the door had locked shut. Ahead of him, the broken corridors stretched into shadows. The helmet lay on the floor, unmoving, cold, silent. But something inside the ship was now awake. RAY in single quotes as hands shook slightly. Not from fear. He had seen death before. Scavengers lived with danger. But this was something different. It was like the air itself was watching him. He reached for his torchlight and switched it on. The beam cut through the dark. Pieces of burned metal, torn walls, a cracked screen dripping with ash. Silence returned, thick and heavy. He picked up the helmet again, slower this time. Nothing happened, just a message. He whispered to himself, Just old tech. Leftover voice. Log. He turned the helmet over. A small port blinked red. A data access node. He connected it to his wrist pad. The screen flickered. One file found. Title. Final voice of Captain Darren. He pressed play. At first, only static. Then a man's voice, rough, slow, broken. Log. Number 29. This is Captain Darren. We tried to leave. Failed. Something. Got inside. Not the ship. Inside us. The voice paused. Static again. It knows how we think. It learns. Copies our voices. Our memories. One moment we were fine. Next, we were killing each other. I shot my own second in command. He begged me not to. Rain frowned. We found it. In the cargo. Not a weapon. Not a machine. A parasite. But smart. It used our own minds against us. I think it liked watching us break. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed down the hallway. Our AY and jumped, dropping the helmet. It hit the ground and the voice log stopped. Who's there? He shouted. Nothing. He picked up the helmet again, heart pounding now. I don't know who's still alive. The voice continued. Maybe no one. Maybe I'm not either. If you hear this, don't trust your thoughts. If you hear a voice, even your own, it's already delayed. The recording ended. Rain's breathing was faster. Now, something was moving in the ship, slowly, like it was walking, but with no weight, no sound, just the sense of something passing near. He turned and aimed his light down the hallway again. And then, he saw it. A shadow, not a person, not quite, just the outline, standing far away at the end of the hall, still, not breathing, not swaying. Rain blinked, and it was gone. He stepped back. This isn't real, he said aloud. This is just old trauma echoes, old ships sometimes, a whisper. Behind his ear, Rain, his name. He turned. No one there. Now the whispers came from every wall. Not loud, not angry, soft, like a friend calling from another room. You're not alone. Come to the cargo bay. See what we became. Rain backed into the command room. He slammed the door shut and locked it. His hands worked fast, pulling wires, trying to override the ship controls. He opened the map system. One section of the ship was still powered, the lower cargo bay. He zoomed in. Life signs. 1. Human origin, unknown. That's not possible, Rain muttered. They all died. The log said they all. His screen glitched. Words flashed across it. You're already infected. He pulled the cable from the helmet. Sparks flew. His torchlight flickered, then turned off. Darkness again. He breathed in, deep, tried to stay calm. I have to get out, he whispered. The air answered, no, Rain, you have to understand. 10 minutes later, Rain found a way to climb into the ship's ventilation shaft. Tight, dark, metal walls squeezed around him. He crawled in silence, listening to the metal creak below. As he moved, he passed over rooms, a broken medbay, a destroyed kitchen, then a room filled with armor. He stopped. Below him, through the vent screen, he saw rows of black suits, mercenary armor still standing upright, untouched, perfectly clean, as if waiting, except one suit was missing his helmet. The same helmet in Rain's pack. His hands trembled. Then one of the suits looked up. Straight at him. Trapped inside, Rain didn't move. He was still inside the narrow vent, pressed between cold metal walls. Below him, in a room full of mercenary suits, one of them had looked up, not moved. Looked. Its head was tilted, just slightly, toward the vent where Rain lay frozen. He didn't breathe. He didn't blink. Nothing happened. The suit stood still again, like a statue. Rain slowly, silently, pulled back from the vent and crawled deeper into the shaft. Each movement made a soft creak. He hated the sound of it now. Everything felt louder. His thoughts raced. Suits don't move. Suits don't look. Not without someone inside. But he had seen the faceplate. No face, no head, just black. Then how did it look at me? He moved further through the shaft until he found another vent. This one opened into the central core hallway. He pushed the vent open and dropped down quietly. He was back on his feet now. His boots touched the ground softly, torchlight on. The ship groaned, a long, low metal sound like it was breathing. His wrist pad buzzed. Again. Cargo bay door unlocked. Invitation status accepted. I didn't accept anything, Rain muttered. He checked his system logs. The wrist pad showed a message sent from his ID. Open bay. Subject ready. He hadn't sent it. He pressed buttons to shut it down, but the controls locked him out. Access denied. The ship had taken control. Suddenly, the hallway lights flicked on one by one, leading a path down toward the cargo bay. Like it was inviting him. Our AYN backed away. No, I'm not going down there. Then, his wristpad screen turned black, and a voice came from it. His own voice. Yes, you are. Rain ripped the pad from his arm and smashed it against the wall. A moment of silence, but the lights still pointed the way. He turned to run back toward the command room, but the door was gone. Not locked. Gone. Just a wall now. Solid, smooth metal. No seams, no marks. No. He whispered. He hit the wall. Nothing. His torch flickered again. The ship was changing around him, or maybe his mind was. He backed away slowly, but the corridor stretched longer now, endless. His head spun. Was he walking or standing still? A voice whispered again, this time gentle, like a memory. Do you remember Earth, Rain? He froze. No one knew his name. No one knew where he was from. The voice continued, oceans, clouds, warmth. You miss it. He shouted, get out of my head. His voice echoed strangely, like it didn't belong to him anymore. A door opened behind him. Not a metal door. Not part of the ship. It was a wooden door, painted blue. Just like the one at his childhood home. What is this? He whispered. He stepped forward and opened it. Inside, he saw a room from his past, a small kitchen, warm lights, someone humming. His mother, back when he was 5, cooking dinner, smiling. While she turned and looked at him, and her face was wrong, to wide. To calm, and her voice, when she spoke, was flat and hollow. You brought it with you, Rain. You always carried it. He slammed the door shut. And suddenly he was back in the cargo hallway. Just metal again. He dropped to his knees, breathing hard. This isn't real, he whispered. You're not real. The ship lights dimmed. Then a calm voice came from the wall speaker system. Female, artificial, smooth. Warning, containment breach. Parasite unit no longer secured. He looked up. User presence confirmed. Psychic contact established. Psychic. What the hell is this? Rain said aloud. The ship's speaker answered. Infection detected. Thought loop activated. Memory access complete. The hallway ahead of him opened, and from the darkness, something walked forward. A shape. Tall, slow. Not human, but wearing Rain's face. Asterisk. The ghost soldier. A figure stepped out of the dark. Same face. Same eyes. Same scar across the left cheek. But it wasn't our AYN. Not really. The shape smiled his smile, but empty, like it had practiced it too many times. Rain stepped back, torch shaking in his hand. What are you? He asked. The thing tilted its head. You, before you broke. Its voice was soft, kind, but wrong, like someone whispering through broken glass. You're not real, Rain said again, louder. I never said I was, the figure replied. It began walking slowly toward him. No footsteps, no sound. Rain raised his weapon. Stop. The figure smiled again. You can't shoot yourself, Rain. Then it vanished. Gone, like it was never there. Rain's torch flickered wildly now. Lights above buzzed. His heart pounded. His brain screamed. He ran down the corridor, past walls that kept changing. Symbols appeared on the sides, words he didn't understand. Or maybe he did once. In dreams. He reached a sealed blast door. Cargo access, level 3. To his surprise, it opened for him. The air inside was colder, cleaner. To clean. He stepped into the room. Rows of glass tanks lined the walls, tall and narrow, filled with a greenish liquid. Inside each one was a suit of black armor, mercenary gear, suspended like floating corpses. But none of them had bodies inside. Just shadows. And in the center of the room stood a lone figure, a full Black Ops armor suit, heavy, damaged, wires exposed. The helmet turned toward him. Then the voice came, this time real, from inside the suit, deep, metallic, but human underneath. You're not with them. Rain didn't answer. The armored figure stepped closer. You're not infected. Not fully. That's why it's testing you. Rain lowered his weapon a little. Who are you? The figure paused. Used to be called Sergeant Arlen. Black Mark. Unit. Last survivor. Sort of. What do you mean, sort of? The soldier tapped the side of his helmet. I died. My body, anyway. But the suit's neural core held my mind. I recorded it. Trapped it. Now we're one. Rain's eyes narrowed. How do I know you're not lying? Not part of this thing. The soldier's voice turned grim because it wants me dead too. I didn't break like the others, but I couldn't stop them. The parasite, what we found, it feeds on fear, on memory. It doesn't kill you. It erases who you are, one thought at a time. He walked to one of the tanks and wiped the glass dot. Inside was a helmet. Rain saw deep scratches inside it, like someone had clawed from within. They put it in the cargo. Arlen continued. Top secret. Didn't tell the crew. Said it was a mind-reading device. Something for war. Truth isn't alive. It doesn't read minds. It rewrites them. Rain swallowed hard. It's inside the ship now. It's been talking to me, showing me things. It used my mother's face. Yeah, Arlen said. It'll use your memories against you. Twist them. Until you can't tell what's real. Rain sat down slowly, breathing hard. So what do we do? The armored figure stood silent for a moment. Then he said, we end this. How? Arlen raised his arm and projected a small map from his wrist. This ship has a failsafe, a full-core detonation system hidden in the lower deck beneath the engines, only accessible with 2 codes. I have one, and the second. The soldier looked at Rain. You're carrying it. Rain stared at him. What? Your pad. Before it got hijacked, it received the captain's death code. The ship sent it to the nearest living human. You. Rain looked down at the broken wrist pad. It's fried. Doesn't matter. The data's still inside. We just need to extract it. He looked up. And we need to reach the core room before it reaches us. Rain stood up. What happens if we fail? The answer came from behind them. A voice. Smooth. Calm. Then you'll join the rest of us. Both turned around. A wall opened behind them, and inside was a figure wearing every face Rain had seen so far, his own. The Merc captain, his mother, the fake shadow man, all blending and shifting like a flickering slideshow of stolen identities. Its voice echoed from every direction. You came to steal. Now you're part of the ship. Welcome, Scavenger. Rain raised his weapon. Arlen stepped forward. Run. I'll hold it. You'll die. I already did. The hidden cargo explosion echoed down the corridor like thunder. Rain stumbled as the walls shook. Metal groaned and sparks rained from the ceiling. The armored soldier Arlen had charged at the shape wearing stolen faces, giving Rain the only chance to escape. Don't look back, Rain whispered to himself. Just move. He ran down the corridor, past cracked walls and burning cables. Red lights flashed above, warning of critical damage, but Rain didn't stop. Not yet. He had to reach the lower deck. The map Arlen had shown him flickered on his wrist pad's cracked screen, barely working, but still alive. The route led deep into the ship's restricted zone. No crew quarters, no storage. This area had one purpose: containment. As he passed through the next set of doors, he felt the temperature drop. His breath fogged up in his helmet. The lights here were dim, flickering white instead of red. Everything was silent. Dead silent. To quiet for a ship falling apart. Rain slowed down. Torchlight raised. Around him were sealed pods, numbered and marked with warning signs in 5 languages. Most were open and empty. But then he saw one sealed. Untouched. Cargo pod no. 07 Gamma Gamma. He approached carefully. A long viewing window stretched across the side. He wiped off the frost and looked inside, and there was. The source. Not a creature, not a machine. Something in between. A swirling black cloud, suspended in fluid, wrapped in glowing rings of energy. It moved slowly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Not alive in the normal way, but aware, waiting. His mind filled with whispers the moment he looked at it. You found me. I've been waiting. Rain, we can be so much more. He backed away, breathing hard. This wasn't just a parasite. This was a mind engine, a weapon built by humans long ago. A failed project meant to read thoughts, predict enemies, win wars before they began. But it had grown, learned, evolved. It didn't want to read minds anymore. It wanted to be them. RAY and access the control panel beside the pod. Locked. Required the codes to unlock the core, one from the captain, the other from a command unit. He inserted his pad into the slot. The captain's code uploaded. The system waited for the second. Arlen's code. Come on, Rain muttered. You better still be alive. But before the panel could finish, the lights dimmed again. The whispers returned. He left you. He broke first. They all do. Rain ignored it. Shut up. The voice grew louder, angrier. You are the weapon now. That's why I called you. You feel it, don't you? And he did. A part of him wanted to open the pod, not to destroy it, to understand it, to become. It, then the system beep, code accepted. Arlen's signal came through. Weak, but enough. Somehow, he was still fighting. Rain took a deep breath. Time to end this. He selected the core detonation option. The system flashed. Warning, initiating core overload will destroy ship, AI memory network, and all biological traces. Confirm. Wyatt and Rain stared at the screen. Then, a voice came from behind him. A voice he hadn't heard in years. His brother's. Ray, don't do this. He turned around. There he was. His brother, Darian, who died 6 years ago on Mars Outpost 3, standing in the cargo bay, wearing civilian clothes, just like Rain remembered. You're not real. Rain whispered. Darien's face softened. I am. Ray, don't you see? We could be whole again. You don't have to lose anyone else. This is a second chance. Rain blinked. Memories flooded in. Guilt, regret, loneliness. What if it was true? What if this thing really could bring people back? But then he remembered Arlen's words. It doesn't give. It takes. It wears your memories like skin. Rain clenched his fist. You're not my brother, he said. Darian's eyes narrowed. And the illusion melted. In its place stood the parasite's true form, twisting shadows in a vaguely human shape, flickering like a broken reflection. You would destroy your only hope. Rain stared it down. I'd rather die as myself than live as your puppet. He pressed Y on the screen. Core detonation sequence activated. Time to overload. 6 minutes. Alarms blared. The parasite screamed not in sound, but in Rain's mind. A wave of pain and pressure hit him, making him fall to his knees. Blood dripped from his nose. Eyes burned, but he smiled. You're afraid, he said. The shape lunged toward him, but before it could reach, a blast door opened. Darlin half-burned, suit cracked, but still standing. He fired an energy pulse that knocked the shadow back. We're leaving, he shouted. Rayn grabbed his gear and ran with him. Behind them, the parasite howled as the ship began to tear apart. Through the flames, the whispers faded, and the silence returned. Run or fight. Time to overload. 5 minutes, 40 seconds. The siren screamed. The walls shook. Red lights flashed in every corridor. The ship groaned like it was alive and in pain. Heat rose through the floor. Fire burst from cracked panels. Pipes hissed. Metal bent. Rayn ran. His lungs burned. His legs ached. But he didn't stop. Arlen ran beside him, armor sparking, limping but steady. The escape pod is the levels up. He shouted over the alarms. Lift is dead. We take the service tunnels. Rain didn't argue. They reached the tunnel entrance. It was narrow just enough for one person at a time. Black walls, climbing rungs, no light. I'll go first, Arlen said. He started up the ladder. Each movement slow. Heavy. Rayn followed, heart racing. Every few seconds, the whole ship jolted, like it was trying to shake them off. Shake them. Out. Like it knew they were trying to leave. Halfway up the tunnel, Rain heard something. A whisper. Not loud, not angry. Just patient. You haven't won yet. He stopped. Looked down. Nothing below. Just black. But the voice stayed. We've already touched your mind. You don't know where you are anymore. He shook his head. Shut up. You think you're climbing. Maybe you're still in the cargo room. Maybe this is part of the dream. Shut up. He slammed his hand into the wall. Pain shot through his arm. Real. He kept climbing. Finally, they reached the next level. A small maintenance room. Arlen scanned the map. The escape pod bay is just down this hall. But the moment they stepped out, the floor shifted. The hallway stretched longer than it should be. Doors moved, ceiling curved, and the walls began to close in. It's warping space, Arlen said. This isn't real geometry. The parasite is bending the ship from inside. Rain's breath caught. Then how do we know the escape pod is even there? Arlen looked at him. We don't. But we go anyway. They ran. Corridors twisted like a maze, but somehow their path held. Flames licked the sides. Explosions boomed. Behind them, finally they reached it. A circular chamber, silver walls. In the center, a single escape pod, intact. Lights green. Systems ready. But something stood in front of it. A figure, wearing a black suit. Not Arlen's, not mercenary. Rayn single quotes S. His face, perfect copy, no burns, No fear. Calm. Smiling. You made it. The double said. I knew you would. Rain raised his weapon. You're not me, aren't I? It asked. It took a step closer. Hands open. You ran your whole life, Rain, from your past, from your brother, from your guilt. You always run, but now you get to stay. Here, safe, forever. Behind the voice was the ship still talking, still tempting. Arlen aimed his weapon. We don't have time. Rain hesitated. The copy stepped closer. One step into that pod, and you'll never know what's real again. You'll live in doubt. Nightmares. Memories you can't trust. Rain's hands shook. He looked at Arlen. Then he looked at the figure and smiled. Maybe, but at least I'll still be me. He shot the copy straight through the chest. It screamed, not in pain, but like static ripping through the air. Its form melted, turning into shadow and smoke. Arlen hit the pod control panel. Go. They both jumped in. The door sealed. Systems. Launch. Escape pod DETACHING. A countdown started. 20 seconds till launch. RAYN sat down, shaking, soaked in sweat. Outside the pod window, the ship twisted violently. Black clouds pouring through the corridors. Some part of the parasite still chasing them, trying to stop the launch point. 5 seconds. Arlen looked at him. If we don't make it out, at least we ended it. 10 seconds. The shadow hit the pod, surrounded it. 5 seconds. The screen flashed. External. Pressure breached. RAYN gritted his teeth. Don't you dare stop now. 2 seconds. Launch. With a deafening boom, the pod shot away from the ship. Rain was thrown back into his seat. Outside, the ship shrank behind them. Then a white flash. The core detonated. The entire ship vanished in an expanding light, like a star being born. Then gone. Silence. Stars above them. Empty space all around. Just the pod, drifting. Inside, Rain exhaled. Arlen sat beside him. Quiet. Neither spoke for a long time. Then Arlen said, You did good, Rain. Rain looked down. His hands were still shaking. I don't know if it's really over. Arlen didn't answer. Then Rain turned to him. Hey, you okay? No response. He leaned closer. Arlen's helmet was empty. No head. No body. Just the suit. Rain blinked. And heard one final whisper, faint in his ear. You left, Rain, but I never did. Human will space was silent. The escape pod floated alone in the black void, drifting far from the wreck of the exploded ship. Tiny bits of glowing metal scattered across the stars like fireflies. Inside, Rain sat still, not breathing heavy, not panicked. Just listening. To nothing. Except his own thoughts. He turned slowly toward the armored suit beside him. Arlen's suit, the one that had helped him survive the nightmare. It was empty now. No blood, no sign of damage. Just gone. As if Arlen had never been real. Or maybe he wasn't. Rain stared at the helmet for a long time. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. His mouth was dry. His throat burned. He wasn't sure what he believed anymore. The parasite was gone. The ship had been destroyed. Every inch of it consumed in fire and light. Every voice, every memory it had stolen, turned to ash. But one question haunted him. Did it die, or did it escape with him? His fingers moved slowly to his wrist pad. It was still cracked, damaged, sparking. He tapped it. A weak signal, a distress beacon. He activated it. This is Scavenger Uni 7-1, he said softly. Rain, transmitting coordinates. Life support low, requesting pickup. A pause. Then he added, if anyone's out there, I'm human, still human. The message looped. He leaned back in his seat. The stars outside didn't move, just cold, light, endless space. His eyelids grew heavy. Until he heard a sound. A knock. 3 soft knocks on the outside of the pod's hold. His eyes opened. Impossible. He looked out the tiny VIEWPO or T. Nothing. Then dash another knock. Closer. He stood up slowly, hand on his sidearm, aimed it at the door. The pod was sealed. No entry, no signal from outside. But the knocking continued. Tap, tap, tap. And then a voice, not from outside, not in the ship. In his mind, you left the ship, but not me. His knees gave way. He dropped to the floor, hands clutching his head. No, you're gone. You burned. The voice continued, calm, almost sad. I was never the ship, Rain. I was inside them, and now I'm inside you. He crawled back, heart thudding. He looked down at his hands. They trembled. But not from fear, from something deeper, from doubt. Prove it. He whispered, the pod went dark. Systems shut down, only one screen stayed on, It showed a memory, not a recording. A moment from Rain's life, his brother, Darian, laughing. On a cliff during their childhood, or AYN remember this day, it was real, but now. Darian turned and looked straight at him. It's not about memory, Rain. It's about belief. If you believe I'm real, then I am. Rain closed his eyes. His voice shook. You can't win. The memory flickered. But haven't I already? The parasite asked. I am you now. I don't need a ship. I need a mind. Just one. And yours is perfect. Rain stood. His hand stopped shaking, and he whispered to the darkness. Then I'll burn, too. He walked to the control panel. The beacon had one final function, self-destruct. A last resort measure in case of alien infection. One touch, one code, and his brain, along with everything inside it, would be gone. He hesitated. A small voice inside him said, but what if you're wrong? What if this is just drama? What if the parasite really is gone, and you're killing the last piece of humanity left? And then he smiled, because that was the parasite's last trick. He raised his hand. You want belief? He said aloud. I believe in being human. He pressed the button. 5, 4, 3. And we don't get controlled till we don't break. 1. We choose. White light. No sound. No screams. Just silence. And then static. A voice. Female. Human. Real. Rescue Team Alpha. Escape pod located. Scanning for life signs. Another voice. We have a survivor. Unconscious. Vital stable. Brain. Activity. Strong. A pause. But there's something strange in the readings. Neural pattern shifts. Almost like two minds. Log entry. 72 hours later. Patient name. Rain Unit 71. Status. Alive condition. Uncertain notes. Subject speaks in his own voice, but sometimes answers questions before we ask them. Today. He looked at the doctor and smiled. He said, we're better now, and